All right. All right. It is time to get back into the charts. We have a new week ahead of us. I'm recording this Saturday night, so that way you have all day to review this video tomorrow and begin to plan your week ahead. Now, if you were locked in on our last video from Sunday, then you know a lot of what was discussed there has since transpired. So we'll talk about that. If you do find this video helpful, please be sure to support by leaving a like, a comment, and sharing the video out so that way we reach more people and more people get this information and weekly update. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We're going to look at the cues and we're going to talk a little bit about some of our favorite tickers that I will say are on sale, and you definitely don't want to miss out on the next buy-ins for those. Now, we have to always keep in mind what's happening, and there is a lot of uncertainty happening. There is a lot of risk off as we are working through a war, guys, and every tweet is just influencing the market. So we can get a tweet that says, so, we're going to do this, and then all of a sudden we shoot up, and then we get a tweet that's Iran's doing this, and then we shoot down. It's just a lot of back and forth. What I have found though, is that despite of the back and forth, the technicals are still kind of being respected here. And every pop has led to an opportunity to short. The trend has remained down. You can even see on the daily, that's the chart time frame I have up right now. We're under the 200, okay? Anytime the Qs or any stock is under the 200, you're already entering a bearish trend. So if I turn off the pro, you can see that this is our 200 weighted moving average in addition to the 12 EMA, and those have crossed since about March 11th, already signaling a down move. We had a lot of consolidation here. It was a very tight squeeze. And then when you see price compress between your shorter term EMA and then your longer look back, then you have to think that the next move is going to be the move when we break one way or the other. So we were waiting to see if we would break up and then maybe attempt a new all-time high, or if we were going to truly break down. As you can see, we've broken down. Not only did we break down, we printed a breaker structure here, and in doing so, in on the 19th, we then received confirmation that we were going lower, a little bit of consolidation within that range, and then the next drop. All right, we have watched support just get crushed right to an area that we have to now pay attention to on the cues. So we're going to just backtrack for a second. And as always, we want to start with the monthly chart and see how this monthly candle is performing. And one thing that we discussed on the previous video, you can see has now taken place. So Sunday, we were discussing this candle here. I'm sorry, Sunday we're on the monthly chart, so we'll slow down just a second. We were discussing getting to this anchored VWAP that we anchored from April's candle. As you know, April had a significant drop, and then it led to this incredible move, pushing us to new all-time highs, all right? And so now we've pulled back to our 12 EMA, but we're also touching and pulled back to this anchored VWAP. Now, the candle that I'm watching is this candle from June, right? We had this all-time high here from December, January, and February, where price was compressed right under it, not able to break it. And then we pulled back, and then we got the April dip. Well, in the recovery, not only did we recover in March, in June, we broke that. We broke this zone here, creating a new high, and then we continued to climb. We are so close to challenging the high of this candle, but I just want to keep that on watch. And there's still a chance that we can squeeze just a bit more to challenge the actual all-time high that was stamped before April's drop, which was at 540.81. All right. Now, pretty aggressive predictions there. So we're just gonna zoom in a little bit, reel it in, and let's just see where we're at right now. And as you can see, everything still kind of points to this area that I have marked at 551.68. And again, we still can fall a little lower to 541-ish. That could play out. Is that like like a crash? I don't think so. I think that what'll happen is we'll probably get to here maybe Monday, and then we're going to move up. And as I told you, we'll move up, print in a lower high, and then we would have to come back down from there. Or we can truly see a reversal. We haven't on the weekly received the breakage structure to confirm and validate. We do have a change of character. And what we want to see print out next is a breakage structure. But we're in the weekly, so we're still going to walk it down. This is our top-down analysis on the cues. Now, I think on the 3-day, using the wolf chart, you can see too that we have the potential to do a liquidity sweep right here um, at price of 558.84. And then I still think we have a chance after we do 558 to come lower to that 551. So once we get to about 558, you may see a bounce there, 558.84. You may see a bounce there. I'm actually going to go ahead and mark that alert on my chart, 558, and that's going to be 558.84. When you see price get here, you may get a wick to that second level that I have on the 3-day chart, but ideally what we'd want to see is once we get to about this area, we see a potential bounce. There's a nice fair value gap and a change character here. These all lead to pretty much like support if you look at where we change character and price coming back to revisit that. Where we're going to focus the most for the week, outside of keeping in mind what was our weekly low. So we closed last week with a low of 561.57. All right. So on the daily chart, everything pretty much aligns with what I think, which is the 551.68 target. Pushing through this gives us a nice liquidity sweep. If we see this price push through all of this, look for a wick and then a nice movement, which would probably give us our bounce. And we can see some green candles start to show up here. Just keep in mind that even when we get those green candles, overall price is off of the 12 EMA. The price is also off under the 200. And we've already received that bearish cross. So now we're just looking to see where we find true support and where buyers are willing to jump in and truly defend the cues. So if you see price at 551.68 next week, be careful to start trying to short that because that may be our destination. And then we should start to see some type of a lower high being put in here. And so we can come even as high as our 590s after we do this liquidity sweep. So you would think we're so close that the mission gets completed pretty quickly and then price starts to bounce. Now, this is technicals. We have to keep in mind that we still have a lot of global things happening that is going to influence the market. But again, as I've seen it so far, the technicals, for the most part, are being respected with some influence in your day trades because a tweet can send things flying, but ultimately the trend is still down. So every pop from a tweet or anything is leading still to a chance to short the market and short the queue. So those will be the two key levels I'll watch, 558.84, possible bounce there. And then when we pull back, another test of 551.68. Or we can push through 558.84 and come on down to that lower level before we make our move. So we'll watch these two as key indicators going into next week. Now, I won't go too deep into a complete walk down of the QQQ. I don't want to have this video long and drawn out. As you can see, if you were able to lock in and watch the previous video from Sunday, we did what I thought needed to happen. And shout out to, again, my brother Manny, because he definitely was on this anchor VWAP from April. And truly, we were able to push through that. And we did some more. So we didn't even get the bounce. This anchor VWAP was not respected at all. Complete sell-off. But I think once we scoop liquidity again down in the 550s, we should be starting to see some type of a bounce, even if it's a short term. One more thing I want to highlight that you may want to also mark is that we have gaps to fill, right? So if we open up and you see price around 558 or even lower to that, what we really want, the 551, then look again for us to start to bounce. We do have a gap to fill from Thursday's closing, as well a gap to fill from Wednesday's closing when I zoom in. So think about being able to catch an opportunity where we do have a liquidity sweep on the one day that then triggers that bounce that we want to see. And then from there, we're not technically clear until this WTMA comes down and arcs under price. And that would be an amazing point to see happen in this order block, giving us more confirmation. Because if we can get this arc in this daily order block, or even in 4 hour, honestly, then we are going to see a potential nice move to the upside. There is resistance near 85, 86. So that's a beautiful climb, even if you are able to catch that. So we want to close this gap and we have another gap up here. And typically the Qs do not leave gaps open for too long on the way up or down. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, we're looking for the liquidity sweeps, sell side liquidity sweeps, and then that bounce. That's the technicals on the Qs. Now, we also had a pretty nice trade set up on Tesla on Friday. Well, Tesla's given quite a few trade opportunities, but we'll look at what Friday gave. Now, Friday for me was a day trade, and just a quick recap of what led to that trade was the Qs breaking ORB on Friday. So this is Friday's opening candle. Pretty aggressive sell. I did not catch the opening, but as I was able to see an opportunity, this is where I was looking for price to break after this arc through the 12 EMA and hold it to the top of the wolf trend moving average cloud, the cloud. And so that did happen, and we got a little bit of a squeeze, kind of a fake, but all I needed was that scoop to the cloud that is acting as resistance, a little bit of a spike up. And honestly, if what Trump said was backed up by anything that Iran followed up with, we would have moved further. But they followed up with saying, hey, we need you guys. I mean, we're giving you warning of evacuations could happen because we're coming. We may be bombing some more stuff. So that left the market going down again. And as you can see, Tesla from here to here was a wonderful trade. I think at one point, my trade was up to 300%. Runner closed at about 260. Let it retrace a little bit to see if it would go down more. I still do have a lower level on Tesla, somewhere around 558. And so I'm not going to do a deep dive into Tesla. What I will say is if you are interested in owning this stock, you want to see where we find some support. And I think that is going to be somewhere around 558, 557. And then we get a nice bounce. And then Tesla really could come a little bit lower, even as low as the 340s. But for now, I'm going to target just 358, 357. And again, we can open up that low on Monday, and then you'll see just a nice bullish day on Tesla potentially playing out. Can't predict what'll happen, but just keep Tesla on watch. Not sure we're ready to go long on Tesla. Um, when Tesla gets to about 340s, 330s, definitely be really paying attention because what we want to do next is we want to start looking at buying shares and leaps in a nice order block. And so we're going to use the higher time frames for that. And we're going to let the wolf chart tell us when it is time to get in to longer holds. With that, if you have a small account, always remember that you can buy shares of TSLL as well as longer swings on TSLL. You just have to be on the right side of that trade um, to really capitalize on it. So we're going to be stalking Tesla as it comes down. We got to talk about Meta. Meta. Meta paid very well on Friday. Didn't get to trade it on Thursday, but was able to enter shorts. And I've seen a lot of people really just rocking it on Meta. And so we still have this area that I'm watching, 493.50, as where you would want to really be paying attention to Meta. And it surely can sweep a little bit lower through that, through to like 479. But do I have that right? Yeah, 479.80. This is where you really want to start watching Tesla, I'm sorry, Meta, and planning a potential position. So that's pushing it through to 500 and maybe getting a little bit more squeeze out of it. The bulls will definitely get weaker as we start to move under 500 and I'm sorry, bears, and then expect the bulls to try to defend this area right here. So that was Meta. Google. I wanted you guys to look at Google because, there was a lot of Google buying here at the top, right? There's a lot of buying right here. But Google failed to hold the high of 340.49 and completely started to break apart. This was a very nice area to capitalize on long swings on Google just because we were rejecting at an all-time high. And if you would have taken puts at this last most recent high, you certainly could have capitalized. In fact, every time Google stamped a high, it has come back in its own patterns and created a retest. And so it broke here. We got that retest here, broke here. And then on this last time trying to retest that area, it actually rejected and has since fallen to the 200 and through the 200. Where can Google go? I actually want to see Google make a wick right around here, which is the bottom of the 200 cloud. And so if that happens, that's a nice area to buy and look for price to aggressively try to bounce back to somewhere around this 380, 370 zone. That would be my ideal action on Google. Now we're going to mark a few alerts here. We're going to want to mark on our charts, and you can do the same on yours. This is mine. 278.50. I'm sorry, that's the high. We want to mark the low of this candle that created order block that you see on my chart. And so that's going to be 270.70. Okay. I leave myself little cute notes. I'll go back and do all of that later. And this is simply how you leave yourself an alert. So when price gets here, you want to be paying attention because Google is getting attractive here, right? And so we would want to see this play out in a nice bounce on Google. There's been a lot of talk about SoFi as we dip lower on SoFi. I'm very glad that it is coming down to some really nice levels. And so, so far, I'm not going to go too deep into it. It's just, again, one of those stocks that you want to keep on watch. Here we have it actually pulling back to the 200. So let's see, that would give us pretty close to about $15 even. And we may get a bounce. If we do not, and price keeps selling off, we can come to this fair value gap at $12 and probably wick down to 11.50. That is still on the play for SoFi. And so what really matters is what we do once we tap this 200 and whether or not we respect that. And that could just lead to a lower high and then another rejection. The 12 EMA is definitely pushing and pointed downward. And now we have to see the 12 holds, the 200 holds. Last time that SoFi was at the 200 was around Liberation Day. Yep. So that is the story on SoFi. There's so many tickers on sale right now. If you like Meta, you can look at METU. If you like Tesla, and these are for those trading small accounts or wanting to accumulate some sort of ownership. Try the cheaper ones if that is what's going to work for your portfolio size. Or you can do fractional. Do not be afraid to start investing at these lows. I think there's many that regretted not investing in April's lows. Now we have another opportunity as we pull back. The moment this war has some positive news, the market will likely give a true bounce, and you don't want to be caught sitting on the sideline, not buying anything. I can't give you financial advice. I can tell you that I'm absolutely looking at these lows and starting to put in those little nibbles. These are the seeds that you plant now so that they can blossom once we get a nice relief. So get into your study, start to see where you want to buy. Ideally, you want to target order blocks on the higher time frames. And shout out to Sean for the training that he does because if you use the wolf chart, you already know this. Now, if you want the wolf chart, I will be leaving a link in the description of this video. What do you get when you sign up for the wolf chart? You will get access to this system. A lot of people are like, well, is using an indicator cheating? Absolutely not. And if someone's crying about you using an indicator, that's their own personal business. We gonna mind ours. And what we do is we use our wolf chart. Okay. When I knew nothing, I had the wolf chart. And as I began to use it, and go through the training, I knew what everything in this system meant and why it was so significant to lead you to the perfect traits, even as a beginner, if you take the time to master the chart, which is what I did. Now, if you give me a blank chart, I can strip it apart without any indicator and know what is likely to play out because I have a lot more confidence in reading charts. And I started by just simply learning and using the tools that were there to help me as a beginner. So this is a beginner-friendly chart. You will also get access to the Wolf Discord. And once you get into the Discord, you will see just how much more is available to you as a subscriber to the Wolf chart. You're going to get the QQQ channel. And if you're in the QQQ channel, you know that we have been really focused in on growing our accounts consistently, trading the Qs. There's spy-focused channels, there's future-focused channels. There's our main chat. There's Sean the Wolf callouts and performance of those callouts and just a lot of AI triggers. Not only that, you get an AI partner. We have Black Wolf to teach us. Our certifications are happening in our AI partner. Not only that, we're also looking at all of the ways that we can build trade plans using our Black Wolf buddy. So, guys, there's a lot happening when you subscribe to the Wolf chart. It's not just getting an indicator. There is a true community out there ready to guide you through. All right, so with that, I will be wrapping up this video. I hope that you found it helpful. Again, the link to the wolf chart will be left. I will be going back into coaching mode for a few weeks, maybe push it a few months. And so I will be leaving details soon on how you can sign up for coaching with me, as well as beginner classes for those who know nothing. I would love to be your coach and I would love to guide you through your journey into trading and investing. With that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful night and let's capitalize on Sunday. Any downtime, use it for studying. Bye, everyone.